I don't want nobody disrespect. Cause if anybody put their hands on you, I'll be calling you collect. Yeah, yeah.
Disturbing story on Staten Island, and it ends deadly. A fight breaks out with nearly 24 women outside their apartment building, and during the chaos, a mother coming out of her house to try to stop it was stabbed. She was well liked, and again, she rushed into the chaos trying to stop all this. She did not survive.
Janira Roundtree was a 43-year-old mother from Queens living in Staten Island's projects. She was the kind of woman who would lay down her life for her children. And tragically, that's exactly what she did. On January 7th, in a senseless act of violence fueled by a petty social media feud, Janira was stabbed to death while defending her 12-year-old daughter during a brutal, orchestrated attack. This wasn't just a random tragedy. It was the result of unchecked community violence and an appalling lack of accountability from those responsible. It started as a fight over a social media post, an argument that spiraled into chaos when a group of 20 people, mostly teens and a few adults, descended on Janira's building to confront her daughter. As fists flew and the mob encircled her child, Janira did what any mother would do. She jumped in to protect her. But what should have been a simple intervention turned into a fatal nightmare when someone from the group turned on her with a knife. Stabbed repeatedly in front of her home, Roundtree's life ended in the most horrifying way possible, trying to save her child from a mob mentality that had spiraled out of control. This isn't just about one mother's tragic death. This is about a community where violence like this is allowed to fester. Where are the parents of these teens? Where is the accountability for a mob of 20 people showing up to terrorize a 12-year-old? Janira's murder is a devastating reminder that lives are being lost because too many people refuse to take responsibility for themselves, for their children, and for the broken systems that let these horrors happen. Welcome to the American Crime Femicide channel. Please like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for future uploads.
Put a finger down, Psycho Edition. If you put more than 5 fingers down, you're a psychopath. Put a finger down if you start crying when you get angry. Put a finger down if you can tell who someone is by the sound of their footsteps. Put a finger down if you like to eat ice cubes. Put a finger down if you're a Virgo, Pisces, Aries, or Gemini. Put a finger down if you can taste different kinds of water. Put a finger down if you would laugh if a little kid fell and dropped their ice cream. Put a finger down if you plan out conversations line by line before they happen. Put a finger down if you are a quiet kid. Put a finger down if you get annoyed when someone breathes too loudly. Put a finger down if you have multiple personalities for different people.
Janira had always been a fighter. Born and raised in Queens, she carved out a life for herself on Staten Island, working as a security officer and serving as a caretaker for her friends in the apartment building where she lived, all to provide for her children. Life wasn't easy, but she faced every challenge with resilience. Recently, she had been struggling with the fallout from a painful breakup.
If your boyfriend is a cheater, clap your hands. If he told you not to worry about that girl, but then he cheated and you saw the messages, clap your hands.
Before the breakup, she and her partner had been in a long-term relationship. They referred to each other as King and Queen, proudly showcasing their love on social media. They were a good-looking couple who seemed full of promise, but posts from Roundtree hinted at betrayal. Her king had been cheating with peasants. The relationship ended, but they remained friends, even celebrating New Year's together. Despite the heartbreak, their friendship endured, a testament to the deep bond they once shared. Through it all, Janira's unwavering devotion to her children gave her the strength to keep going. Her love for them was fierce and unconditional, a love so strong it ultimately cost her everything. On a chilly Tuesday evening, Janira's world shattered. It began like any other day, but by nightfall, chaos erupted outside her home on Henderson Avenue near Alaska Street in Staten Island. A group of around 20 people, mostly young teens with a few adults in their 20s, had gathered near West Brighton houses. What started as a social media-fueled spat escalated into a full-blown melee, targeting Janira's 12-year-old daughter. According to neighbors, the mob wasn't just there to intimidate, they came for blood. They sought out Janira's preteen daughter, who had been caught in a conflict with one of the girls. The argument spiraled into violence as fists flew and insults turned into threats. Janira's daughter fought valiantly, defending herself against one girl while the rest of the group circled, waiting for an opportunity to jump in. It was a nightmare no parent should ever have to witness. Janira's friends tried to call her older daughter for help, but the protective mother didn't wait. She rushed to the scene, determined to save her child. Neighbors speculated she might have already been outside when the chaos began, but what mattered was that she acted without hesitation. Roundtree inserted herself into the fray, shielding her daughter from the growing mob. It was a mother's instinct in its purest form, selfless, brave, and ultimately fatal. The scene was pure mayhem. Witnesses described the melee as chaotic and overwhelming. Scaffolding around the building obscured some of the violence, but the sounds of screaming and fighting were unmistakable. Janira's neighbor heard her last words before she was taken away. "I can't breathe." Those words would haunt everyone who heard them. By the time police arrived, Roundtree had been stabbed multiple times in the chest. Her blood soaked the ground as officers carried her to safety. She was rushed to Richmond University Medical Center, but it was too late. Janira, the mother who had given everything to protect her child, was pronounced dead. Her life ended in the very act of love and sacrifice that had defined her existence. The brutality of her death left the community reeling, struggling to process how such violence could unfold on their doorstep. Investigators later revealed the grim details of her attack. Janira had been knifed repeatedly in the chest, but there were signs the attackers used more than just a knife. She was found lying on top of an umbrella, its jagged shards believed to have been used to slash her. It was a scene of unimaginable cruelty, a group of teens and young adults turning on a mother who only wanted to save her child.
The first things I was told when I arrived here in West Brighton this morning is that you would be hard-pressed to find anyone to say anything negative about Queen. That is how this community knew 43-year-old Janira Roundtree, who died here last night. If you take a look behind me, you can still see that there is a police presence here as the NYPD searches for what led to the fight and the person who stabbed her, because the second thing I was told is that nobody is talking.
Always walking around with a smile, always thinking about, how can we get some money together to barbecue for these kids so they're not in the streets for the summer. Let's hold a barbecue every weekend.
The courtyard at West Brighton Houses is where Janira Roundtree harnessed her own personal resources and devoted countless hours on the grill. Her open-to-all barbecues made her a legend. Sadly, it would be that same safe space she created for everyone else where she would lose her own life to violence.
How did it unfold?
Argument, I don't know about work, but she was being a mom.
Tuesday evening, just after 7:30, friends of the 43-year-old mother, who asked not to be identified, tell Eyewitness News that Roundtree rushed downstairs to help after learning one of her 4 children was in the midst of a large crowd of about 20 women engaged in a dispute. They say one NYPD patrol car had already arrived on scene when Roundtree was stabbed.
And by the time the rest of them came, she already had collapsed on the floor.
Was she stabbed while a cop was here on scene?
After the stabbing, witnesses say the entire crowd took off running.
You just sit there and you just let it happen, and you don't act. You just left her kids without a mother. You could have done more.
Roundtree was ultimately transported to Richmond University Medical Center, where she died.
This neighborhood was important to her because she wanted different for all the kids coming up, and she was trying to make a difference, and she was.
Janira's daughter, shaken and uncooperative, remained silent about what happened. Authorities were left piecing together the tragic puzzle from witnesses and evidence. No arrests have been made, leaving the community in anguish and fear. Who could do this? And why hadn't justice been served? Neighbors struggled to make sense of the horror they had witnessed. One described rushing downstairs to see officers carrying Roundtree away, her body limp and bleeding. The police took her, the neighbor said. When they carried her, I saw she had a lot of blood. I heard her say, "I can't breathe." That's the only thing she said. The loss of Janira rippled through Staten Island. A mother, a protector, a fighter. She had been all of these things and more. Her death was senseless, a brutal reminder of how social media fueled conflicts and unchecked violence can spiral out of control. But more than that, it was a testament to a mother's love, a love so powerful it endured even in her final moments. Janira's death left behind unanswered questions and a community searching for justice. The image of her shielding her daughter, standing her ground against a mob of 20, will never be forgotten. She didn't run. She didn't hesitate. She fought. And though she lost her life, her courage stands as a heartbreaking reminder of what it means to be a mother. Rest in peace, Janira Roundtree. You are a warrior.